Hi, I'm Catherine, and this is our second Zoom meeting. Today, I'm going to go over the colors that we're using for the first quarterly subscription box, the Shetland Yarn Club. And these are the colors I've chosen because for many of you who have already been members of the monthly Yarn Club, I wanted to move into greens and oranges and spring colors. In July, you'll be getting a yellow, a bright yellow, and which is a nice accent. Um, but for April, we're going to use these soft colors, and your accents in this case are the sky blue and the copper. When you're choosing colors, you'll want to choose a variety of lights moving into darks. And the easiest way to do this is to pick a couple of families. In this case, I picked green and it moves into a blue-green. That is a pretty good representation on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and pin this so that you can see it enlarged. There we go. So this is a greenish blue. And this is more of a sky blue, solid blue. And when you're picking colors, you'll pick a variety. I chose these two families, the oranges moving into a natural, and then the green and blue greens. And then for my accents, I wanted to do orange and blue, which are complementary colors in and of themselves. So if I want to really make a design stand out, I could put these two together. But normally I like to do some shading and then have an accent. And as promised, in this is my dog sweater that I showed you last week. Let me unpin and I'll pin myself. I need to unblur my background so you can see this better. Here we go. And you can see there's a lot of shading in here in the midsections, and then the bones themselves are the feature. And here I've done a complementary orange and blue background. Here I've done a shaded, more subtle contrast. In between the bones, I do a more subtle contrast. And I think it makes a very effective method for picking your colors. And a lot of times I just start with colors I like and go from there. I like more contrast when I'm doing something that I want to be bold and bright. And then I like more subtle contrast if I want something to be more of a background. So for these colors, remove the pin. I've got them arranged like this. Um, Now, technically, really, this blue will go here. If you're going from dark to light, here I've got dark to light. And actually, if I took a black and white picture, this might be, but I believe it's this way. I've done the black and white picture, but I can't remember which way it was. So now we go and maybe if we want more contrast, because if I'm pairing these two colors together, there are a lot of different options for pairing colors in a stranded color work. But let's say these two colors, well, the white will definitely be lighter than the blue. So those will have plenty of contrast. Likewise, the white with the orange will have plenty of contrast. Here's where it gets tricky. What about the blue in this peach color? that might not necessarily have enough contrast, even though it looks to you in the picture like, yes, I can see the difference between those two colors. So what I like to do is I take my accent color out, which in this case is going to be this orange, or maybe I'll make it the blue and I'll keep it with this family and that family. So this will be my accent. And now I'm going to flip one of them around. So I have the darkest of the oranges paired with the lightest. And here it might get tricky. I believe this peach and this green will work fine together, but clearly this peach and this blue green will work well. And then you'll have the white with the green. That is one way of going about and making sure that you have plenty of contrast. All the lightest with the darkest. And then in the middle, you have to be a little bit judicious. And then, of course, I'll have my contrast right on top. However, in the project for April, I will be mixing it up a lot. I've got 8 different designs for 8 different squares. The small project will be to pick one of those squares and knit back and forth. And then for the larger projects, and then you'll actually create a border around it um, to make a doily basically for your table. Or you can make a table runner. So then for the garment project, I will be inserting a lace insert. And I thought my lace was on the table, but it's not. So I guess I won't show you that today. I'll show it to you next week. I'll have the table table doily all finished by next week, and I can show you the finished table doily that I've picked. But I'll have 8 different designs. You'll be able to choose from the ones you like and the different color combinations. And my idea for the garment was because lace is trending this year in sweaters and garments, I thought it would be fun to do kind of a knitter's version of a granny square. So that's how I'm going to proceed, and I will be putting a lace insert around each. So you'll learn how to do flat knitting for April. And I think it's very important to be able to do flat knitting because even when you're knitting a Fair Isle garment in the round, let's say you want to do a V-neck, you still need to knit flat from the shoulders up because if you put a steek at the neckline on a V-neck, it will be very bulky underneath. Um, for a cardigan, you could do that. You could do a steek and a V-neck, but for a pullover V-neck, it's much more awkward. So it's good to learn to knit flat, and then you won't have to worry whether you're going to steek or not. You can do it either way depending on your preference and depending on the design. So that's my demo for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. I will continue to knit and talk to everyone without recording. Have a good Saturday.